everybody. Welcome to Stumptcast. This is Rick, and I'm joined, as always, by Ash, Price, and Jasmine. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. This is our Valentine's Day episode, I suppose.
Ooh.
Happy Valentine's Day to you guys.
Kiss.
Or if you've seen our Hayotoful boyfriend episode,
Come on, man.
you might call it Legumentine's Day. Just a little spoiler alert for you.
If you're a weirdo like Ash or a pigeon.
Keep those
Or
spoilers
pigeon.
to yourself, man.
Shit.
Don't nobody like spoilers? Come on. No, but happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I hope you've all got a Valentine of your own. And if not, guess what? We'll be your Valentine.
Heck yeah.
Hex yes.
Price
today,
is your Valentine today.
Yep, Ash is your Valentine. Jasmine's your Valentine. Rick's your
Aw.
Valentine.
That's right.
We love you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could send all of you a Valentine, I would. And
It's
I
one
would
of those one of those like 6th grade Valentines where you made like a little container for yourself on the front of your table and you passed out
Oh,
like
those
little
are cute. Yeah.
little horses on the front of them, a little
Yeah.
I love you pigeons on the front of them.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I actually got one today. From work.
From a
one of the
6-year-old,
girls-
6th grader? Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, one of the girls at work actually passed around a plastic bag, and she gave us candy and like a little thing. And so my little Valentine's Day card was Incredibles, and it says, "You're incredible."
Nice.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, she doesn't work with 6th graders.
They're in 7th
don't.
grade, thank you. There's a big distinction there. They're middle schoolers now.
Indeed.
Come on, guys, give them some
Show some
slack.
respect.
All right, but
Dare you.
seriously, guys, let's get serious.
Be serious.
How's your week, everybody? Who wants to start?
I'll start. I'll go ahead because
Go,
we're
Price.
not doing like a full-on Marvel minute this week. I'll just say, how's my week been? It's been wonderful. Why? Because Spider-Man is coming back to the MCU,
God.
y'all. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I won't go deep in it. I've already been bugging these jerks who don't even care about Marvel as much as I do with all the Spider-Man talk. But
It's like he
really
talks to a
exciting.
brick wall.
hey, hey.
Yeah, our
At least when I look at the
our eyes go
brick wall, it
blank,
looks
we
like it
just
has
start-
eyes and it's staring back at me.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man
you
is going to
painted
be
them.
popping up. Quit it. Spider-Man's going to be popping up in Captain America Civil War, and I'm super excited. So that's been like the big part of my week. And then other than that, and I'm sure that y'all are going to touch on this, so I'll just briefly mention it. Evolve came out this week, and
Heck
we've all
yeah.
been enjoying that game.
You
So I'm
guys
just gonna
have been enjoying
throw
it
that
more
out to
than I
y'all.
have.
Throw that to y'all.
I
I haven't
can't
had any
stop
time to
enjoying
play
it.
it. I have not had any time to play it.
You need
Rick,
to
what-
make time, Jasmine.
Rick, why
Make
don't you
time.
talk about it? Because Rick's played it the most. of
Rick
us.
has really been the one who's been playing it the most.
I
My
can't
goodness.
stop, guys. I can't stop. You know, I was reading some reviews on it because I was like, I really like this game. How does everybody else feel about it? You know, it's got some mixed reviews. Metacritic, I think, it's got like a 78 right now. But you know, some people have said that it gets a little repetitive. But I don't really know what online multiplayer first-person shooter doesn't. To be honest with you, you know,
I think, you know, to be fair, I think that most people don't have the benefit that we have, which is like we have a dedicated group of the 4 of us.
Yeah.
That we play everything together. And so when it comes to playing this kind of like 4-person shooter game, we've got a group. And a lot of people have been complaining about like the public groups.
Yeah,
And
those are really
I get
hard.
that. I get
Yeah.
that might be difficult. But for us, if you have a group of people that you play games like this with, it is amazing. It is so
Sure.
tight. It is so much fun. It's just such a solid gameplay experience. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
you guys
sorry,
see our
tight?
failures.
It's tight. It's very tight. No, like all of the
Tight?
like I don't mean like tight. I mean like every little component of it has been like really meticulously gone through, and they've worked it in a way that it works really well. It's clean. It's efficient.
Yeah.
It works in the way
I-
it's
I
supposed
would-
to.
It's
I was
polished.
saying that to
it's
Rick the other day because the most of the games that we've been playing lately have been like indie games or early access games, which don't get me wrong, I love, but all of them have something that's usually broken or just like seemingly doesn't have enough done to it yet. Whereas this is the first game I felt that I've played in a while. It was like, wow, you can tell everything is fucking solid in it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, you know, it's strange for me to play a game that doesn't have like a decent story mode. This is all online multiplayer. This game, there's no story to it. I wish there was. You kind of get they kind of allude to story, you know, during the loading sequences where you're dropping in, where they'll be like,
Mhm.
"Hey Maggie, how'd you end up with, you know, a Daisy,
Such and
you know,
such.
and
Daisy,
stuff like
yeah.
that." And so you're like, oh, there's an interesting story there. I wish that there was more to it, and maybe there will be, but you know, So I've thought, is it worth $60? I think for us, definitely. You know, like you said, Price, we've got the four of us, so you know we've always got a good core group to play. I mean, if you're not really into online multiplayer, then maybe wait until it goes on sale. You know, maybe wait a year or something.
Sure.
But if you are, I think it's a solid game. It's super fun. Every class, you know, there's the 4 class of hunters. There's 3 different tiers of hunters. So, you know, you start with the base hunter. Once you level that up, there's a second hunter that's unlocked and a third hunter that's unlocked for every class. I've just been going crazy unlocking all these characters.
Rick's got
I can't
all of them now.
I can't
crazy
stop
monster.
getting achievements for them. And it's a blast to play the monster too. I was kind of afraid that like it would be like being it in hide and seek. You know, nobody really wants to be it.
Sure.
But it's a lot of fun playing that monster too, man.
For sure.
Yeah,
You know,
I say 2K knocked it out of the park this time.
Going back to what you were talking about, how this game doesn't really have a story mode, I think it might be interesting to talk a bit about this game versus Titanfall, which has the same aspect of being a $60 only multiplayer game, yet it failed pretty spectacularly. Just in the sense that it was super repetitive, but this one obviously introduces mechanics to the gameplay that just keep it exciting. You know?
Yeah, I agree. You know, they have different like variations of the game as well. You know, there's the rescue one. There's the
nest.
The nest, exactly, where you have to destroy the eggs. You know, and also there's kind of variants that you can turn on as well. We haven't experimented with that, you know, but basically where you can like handicap the monster or handicap the player. So I think that there's a lot more to this game than we've even touched on. We've only sort of scraped the surface, but I think that there's plenty to keep us interested. And of course, people will complain once the DLC comes out because it's bound to come out, you know. But
it's not even bad. Like, I mean, it has been clearly stated. They're like, more monsters are coming, more hunters are coming, more maps, and it's like they are. I will say that the main criticism that has been hurled at this game since it launched is completely valid in that it is a DLC hub. It was made to sell you more content than what you paid for with $60. And I am still frustrated and angry with that component of it. But the gameplay and everything that they have delivered, like when I watched videos of it and I was like, this game looks like it's fun. I feel like it is 100% the experience that I wanted out of it. There's nothing that is lacking in what I thought I was going to get.
I agree.
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it, you know, I will end up buying the DLC once it's released.
We probably will. There's a good chance we will.
But, you know, if you don't, you're still going to get a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to have a blast, you know. And if you've got 4 or 5 people together, I really can't think of a better way to spend your time online right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's wonderful.
I mean, to reiterate, these are the people that made the original Left 4 Dead. They came up with that
Turtle Beach?
amazingly
Is that their name?
unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they came up with that amazingly unique, you know, gameplay idea, and they have obviously transformed it into a 4v1, which they obviously do very, very well, of having a 4 people team versus something.
Yeah, I kind of wish that the maps were a little bigger, though. I say that's one complaint that I have.
I will go ahead and say, though, like, to be fair, if they were too big, then the monster gets a massive advantage because, so Rick and I have been playing, like, we've all been playing a lot, but whenever we get a shot, we'll play together. And I will say the other day, Rick and I, we played a match, and I was the Kraken as the monster, and I was pretty well able to kite Rick and his group of bots that we were playing with, to the point where I got to stage 3, and we never had an encounter. And so,
that's true.
If the maps were bigger, it might be, you know, a little bit too much in the monster's favor to just keep running until they get to stage 3, and then it's like, okay.
I think that some maps definitely feel bigger than others.
Sure.
You know, and I've just seen myself kind of getting a little claustrophobic in a few of the maps.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but man, I still need to play it a lot more. You guys have unlocked all the characters and whatnot, and man,
Rick has. I've unlocked. So we all picked kind of like a class that we're going to focus on. You'll see that when we start playing it for the channel, when you see that pop up.
That's right.
But like for the class that I picked, I finally unlocked the 3rd character in it, and it's definitely my favorite of the 3. And I think they did a good job of, like, you start with the simplest to understand, and then you get one that's a little bit more complex, and then the last one is kind of the most complex and weird to understand, but like by that time you've learned enough about the gameplay that it's I love it. The game is just so fucking good. I can't.
And I feel
say
like
it
there's
enough.
something there for everybody, you know. Even if you're not, you know, really into playing a medic or playing a support class, because there are 3 different variants of each class, there's something there for everybody, you know. I thought I wouldn't have fun playing the medic, but, you know, I really enjoy playing as Lazarus, you know, the 2nd tier medic character. You know, a real blast. Also, you know, there's just so much to this game, you guys.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I will say
watch
this,
our videos. You'll see.
For people who are maybe hesitant because you don't know that you're going to have a dedicated group of people to play with, the bots are actually surprisingly intelligent. Like, they're not perfect. People will play better than bots, but the difference between like jumping into a pug group, you know, public group where like you might end up with a bunch of jerks. We all know how that feeling is. It's why a lot of us don't play games like League of Legends or other MOBAs, because we're like, I hate working with people who are assholes. If you just want to play a quick little game with bots, they are sufficient. They do a good job. They are way better than the Left 4 Dead bots that would just like run around in circles. As soon as you die, they die. Like just like all that horrible stuff. Like they are very good. And so I think it's even alone, even when I'm just grinding out achievements alone, I still have a lot of fun, which is, I could not say the same for any other game of this same kind of genre of multiplayer game.
And I'll say that the AI on the monsters in that game
It's pretty tough.
obviously pretty great.
Dude, Rick and I played one on the same day where we played against each other. We also played together, and we got stomped by a Goliath.
Yeah.
He annihilated us. We both, like, Rick and I were both like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah, and you know, it gets tough, you know. Once you lose your medic or you lose your support, you're done for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough advertising for Evolve, because it sounds like we're shilling for it, and this is just us being. It's fun. It delivered on the message that we thought that it was going to deliver on. It just did a good job.
Yeah,
it's the flavor of the month for all of us.
For sure.
Well, you know, it's exciting when you know, you set expectations for a game, especially a AAA title. You know,
for sure.
We're so used to being disappointed in this day and age, and then to actually have a title follow through with all the expectations.
For sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, but on the flip side of that, speaking about expectations and being completely let down. So the other big news that's come out this week is the whole Peter Molyneux thing.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He's done this his entire career, and it's not like that much of a surprise, but for him to be so blatant about the Molyneux cycle is shocking. Because ever since Peter Molyneux has made games, it was like the same thing with like Fable and like Black and White and everything else, where he's all like, oh, when we come out with this game, it's going to do so many innovative things. It's going to be so amazing and this, that, and the other. And then by the time his next game is getting announced, he starts being like, oh, that game was shit. We did the worst stuff with that game. It was terrible. And this next game, it's going to be wonderful. And for him to just flat out say that, like, we lied to people in order to get them to give us money. It's like, he treated...
If you can't meet that goal, then you just lose all the money, so we have to promise them the moon.
Exactly.
And that's the real difference here, because you can blow smoke up people's asses and then, you know, not follow through on your promises. But when you've actually taken your fans' money beforehand and then not follow through, I mean, that's an entirely different thing.
Here's my opinion. I think that what he did was he treated fans, he treated the consumer like investors. Like, he essentially said, I lie to my investors all the time to get the money that I want to make the game that I want to make, and I don't give a shit if I'm going to follow through. I'm just going to say what I say so I can get the money. And he treated us that way. Okay. You don't treat your customer that way. That's ridiculous.
Let's back up just a moment here for our few fans that maybe don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Who don't know that Peter Molyneux is a monster of a human being.
Peter Molyneux is the creator of Fable, Fable 2, those games. He has a reputation for overpromising. He had a Kickstarter for his game Goddess. Goddess?
Goddess, doesn't matter. Yeah. Shittest.
It's a god game.
Yeah. And people were super stoked because he also created Black and White and Black and White 2, which this is his first God game since then.
Well, and also,
he's kind of the grandfather. Yeah, exactly. He's like the godfather of this genre game as well, which is why he has so much cred. I mean, cred that he's been losing over time, but why he's got so much cred in the industry.
So I forget what his Kickstarter minimum was, but I believe it was
$500,000.
Yeah, it was $500,000 that he needed to do it. And towards the end of the Kickstarter, it sounds like they they weren't quite going to meet it, so they started adding all these goals to their Kickstarter, and they basically overpromised like crazy. One of their goals was to have the game ported to Linux, and they got it so much money that they met that goal as a Kickstarter goal. However, the game engine that they were using since the beginning of the Kickstarter doesn't allow for Linux. So it's just like a blatant lie.
It's so fucking bonkers.
And so here's a quote that he actually said to Tech Radar regarding his Kickstarter. There's an overwhelming urge to overpromise because it's such a harsh rule. If you are a penny short of your target, then you don't get it.
Then you start another one at the second goal.
And of course, in this instance, the behavior is incredibly distinctive, which is, Christ, if we've only got 10 days to go and we need to make £100,000, for fuck's sake, let's just say anything. That's a real quote.
That's fucking bonkers.
And let me just interject there, because I read that same interview, and then today, I believe on Rock Paper Shotgun, he was saying, we had made promises and we intended to follow through with those promises.
Damage control.
Exactly. But in the interview that Ash is talking about, he flat out says, no, we lied. We made promises that we knew we wouldn't be able to follow through. And then he contradicts himself the very next day. This guy is so full of shit. And
I mean, if you're going to like lie to people, or if you can't meet your goals, then you just accept it and start again with a lower fucking goal. You don't just steal people's money and create a really shitty iOS game.
Or make a fucking Indiegogo instead of Kickstarter, where Indiegogo, it's like you can keep whatever amount you make. We haven't even talked
about the final state of this game yet.
Okay,
so all the listeners who know that we all think that Peter Molyneux is a real piece of shit right now.
Hack.
He made a bunch of promises that he couldn't follow through with. Godus now, which was supposed to be a PC game, which was supposed to be revolutionary, is a fucking iOS app.
It is, and it is an early access game on PC, but it's still early access. It's nowhere near a final.
And they're not planning on changing anything. They're not planning
on everybody
from
that team to work on a different game now.
Fucking
exactly.
Stupid.
It is now a final product on iOS and on Android, I believe, and it is a DLC machine on those platforms. That's literally, it's as if they sort of like kicked the PC version out the door and said, this game, we made a nice $500,000 on it, but what else can we do with it?
Yeah, it's garbage. It's garbage.
And get this, okay? While he's developing Godus, supposedly, they developed this other iOS app game. I forget what it was called, but basically it's like a cube where a bunch of people online all work to chip this cube away. And the player that ends up chipping away the last cube will not only get 1% of the profits from Godus, but will also get to be like the god of gods in Godus for a week, which basically means that any input that they have into the game will affect all players. That was a promise that they made to somebody who actually won this thing, and they have not seen anything up until this point.
Well, and talk about what, like, just a blatant like call to programmers and hackers and other people to just be like, okay, I'm going to set up a bot. It's going to monitor things on my phone, or like 100 phones that I have. And it's going to just wait until that last moment, and then it's going to click it and get me the money. Like, it's so not a gameplay
it's
thing.
Like this guy asking
for
to stop
to be
lying.
Dicks. It's just asking for people to be assholes to each other.
It's also just like, from my recollection of the game, it was like sort of like a Rubik's Cube knockoff type of game, I believe.
Not even that complex. It was a spinning cube. You fucking look for a square, you touch it, and it goes away. It wasn't even a Rubik's Cube. It was just like a touch the thing.
Like, it's a game that obviously wasn't, innovative or anything. Literally, the only selling point it had on it was, I want to be in Godus.
Yeah.
And
now
it's not
Godus
even
is
that.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was, I want to be in the promise of a game, and now the game that was promised is a pile of garbage. And so the people who played that first Cube game, it was essentially you were playing to be at the top of a pile of garbage.
Which you don't even get that because it didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Peter Molyneux has been doing this for a decade, and we continue to believe him, and it angers me because I loved Black and White. I loved the first Fable, even though it did not deliver on the promises that he made. And then every game after that has been promise over promise over promise of we're going to make this better. And it just has not been that at all.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, and it might be easier for like maybe some of our younger audience to who have just been kind of like cynical from birth when it comes to video gaming, because this has kind of been the state of gaming for so culture, long, you know? Right. I mean, I feel like we still are a little wistful for the old days when like video games were pure and, you know, there wasn't all of this DLC and
when
all
you couldn't
these,
patch a game, so it had to come out finished.
Exactly. There wasn't these like prepaid, you know, pre-ordered games all the time. You got the
there wasn't
product
day one DLC because there was no such thing as a DLC. Like,
right.
It just,
but now,
you had to have a full game.
But the truth is, we're living in a different era of video games now, which is terrible, especially for AAA titles, which is great that we've got a game like Evolve that actually was able to follow through with the game that they had delivered during the beta, you know?
Yeah.
Despite all of the DLC nonsense that's bound to happen. But, you know, and also it's still a great innovative time to be a gamer with all of the indie games that are going on and stuff,
totally.
You know, so...
And I think that's like our channel, we focus a lot on indie games. And I think a big part of that is because indie games kind of, they do, you know, for us with our nostalgic bones, you know, we harken back to that earlier age. And indie games often, out of like for very practical reasons, they are more in that vein. As an indie developer, you can't plan on, I'm going to release 3 years worth of DLC and make X amount of dollars. Like, no, you don't know that the first part's going to sell. So you have to make it the best thing you possibly can. And I think AAA titles, it's just not that.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm really getting at is, you know, I would hate to discourage people from investing in indie games because a piece of shit like Peter Molyneux can take $500,000 from, you know, good faith investments and then screw people over, you know, because there are still plenty of indie gamers who are counting on people to, you know, take an interest in their game, throw a little money their way, and you know.
And my thing is just look at the ultimate goal. Look at like what is their, you know, what's the number that they're gunning for? Indie developers gun for 10 grand, 50 grand, maybe 100 grand. But Peter Molyneux out the gate saying, I need $500,000 to make this game, which is like, you know, essentially, like we said, it boiled down to an iOS app. When I know that an indie developer of competent skill could have made the same game for a tenth of that, it's like when you see an indie game come along and in Kickstarter come along and it's got like great pixel art and it's got this great story and everything like that. And then they say like, hey, we just need $30,000 to hire, you know, a composer and, you know, some animator or something like that. And then our game will be done. That's a solid Kickstarter. That's like, you've got clear goals. You've got clear things that are going to happen. I know that this is trustworthy. But when you got Peter Molyneux, hey, we haven't started this game. I need $500,000 because I've never learned how to make an indie game. And I'm Peter Molyneux, so I think that Fable is enough to sell you on everything that I need $500,000 to make a game. It's not true. You don't need $500,000 to make a game. It worked. And that's the problem, you know? Yeah,
and you mentioned something that we've even forgot to talk about in all this hubbub. When he started the Kickstarter, he had no proof of concept. There was nothing.
Yeah.
He had nothing to give them.
He said, look at my old game.
Idea in his head.
Look at Populous. Go look at that game. Don't you want more of that? Well, give me $500,000 and I'll make that for you again.
So keep investing in indie gamers. I mean, obviously use your head. If you know, a guy who's been suspicious for the last decade comes around and says, hey, you want to buy this thing that doesn't exist yet, but I promise it's going to be pretty cool, maybe stay away from that, you know.
He's like the old man with the candy behind the school, you know. It's like, hey, come over here. I got some candy. You know, I actually, you know, I've been promising you Snickers, but I really have this like Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah.
Jen, this is the creepiest analogy I've ever heard.
You're like, do you want some candy? And you're like, certainly this old man has the best candy around. He's got Snickers,
everybody's
been
Kit Kats. Talking about it, right?
What does he have?
Talking about how great his candy is, and he shows up
Necco wafers.
Necco wafers.
Exactly.
Dude.
Necco wafers that, you know, if you pay a little bit more for the DLC, it's Necco wafers covered in chocolate.
Yeah. And you know what? You're like, you know, this could have been a lot worse. There's a creepy old man offering me candy. At least I got Necco wafers and not a creepy van.
I guess.
But you know what? You're still pissed off. You're still pissed off.
Still got Necco wafers. No, I think here's what I think. If someone who's been in the industry for decades has to turn to fans for the investment rather than the investment strategies that they've used in the past, you should immediately be suspect because that means A, they don't have a plan for selling this to people who professionally invest in these kinds of things, or B, they've got maybe some kind of ulterior motive to making this money. Whereas people who are indie developers, it makes sense that they wouldn't have those contacts. So turning to people, the fans, that's like their only outlet, like, right? They don't have the connections with publishers or whomever to try and get that money. So I trust someone coming from nothing asking for, help on Kickstarter to like help develop this game more than someone who's coming from, the top of a fucking mountain and saying, hey, I need you guys to give me the money.
Oh, I mean,
I don't think that's entirely true. Just based on the fact that a ton of fairly name brand developers have done Kickstarter successfully.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
far.
like Double Fine was one of the first ones to do it.
I was going to say Tim Schafer did it.
Tim Schafer really sort of like blew up Kickstarter for gamers to begin with.
I still personally feel iffy about their Kickstarter. By the way,
I do too, just because it took so long, and it is sort of a short product or a small product.
The game got split into two, and all of a sudden bloated budgets.
But I'll say other examples like Wasteland 2 and Pillars of Eternity came from name brand developers, and they've followed through.
Sure.
But all of those people had proof of concept,
right?
At least.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Which
for
is also
Eternity.
required at this. That's required at this point, right? By Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You need to have
they've gotten
now,
better. Positions in place, and like just like follow through. Like you have to follow through on all of your Kickstarter. What is it? Like the tiers, the goals. Like now, like they will hold you accountable. Like you have to return the money if you can't deliver the plushies that you said you deliver.
You
or
have
whatever.
to.
They've updated their terms now that you do. It didn't have to when it first started. You didn't have to, and so some people got away with murder. But
insane.
Now you do. Yeah.
All right, so let's put a cap on the Peter Molyneux story. If anybody's got anything, last words.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. That's right.
Jasmine,
anything to say?
It's Valentine's
Give me black
Day.
and
Why
white.
don't we move on to something else?
Let's move on to something else because it's Valentine's Day. Not to mention, it's also we're a week away from our 1 year anniversary.
Woo-woo. That's right.
This is the 1 year anniversary
10 days
song.
away from it. Yes.
10 days, guys. And we've got some awesome stuff planned. We're getting together tomorrow to finish up some stuff for you guys.
That's right.
It's exciting stuff.
Indeed.
Secret.
It's crazy. Jazz and I didn't really talk about how our week's been. Our week has been all up about that stuff. Stumped has literally been absorbing a whole month, basically.
I think all of all of our weekends, all of our nights, everything has been stumped for the past month.
I know my poor wife. She just forgot.
Oh, go. I'm sorry.
My wife forgot what I look like. She hasn't seen me for like 30 days.
He walked in the door and she went, "Huh."
I haven't shaved. I've got a beard down on my knees.
I actually had to take some time off of work. Like I am so stressed out.
Yeah.
I honestly have not had any time to play games like you guys have. It's been either going to work and coming home and editing immediately afterwards and waiting.
You've had
for
time
that.
to play Grim Fandango.
Boom.
Well, that's because I know that's
Boom,
true,
Grim
but we actually made time for that.
Man, I'm loving
on
Grim
our
Fandango.
calendar.
Yes, that's
But
true.
Yeah.
It's been crazy this month because boom, February 24th, 1 year anniversary. We're all super stoked for it. So we've been putting in quite a lot of effort this month just to do something extra special for that. So everyone, be sure to tune in on February 24th.
Yeah, and thank you so much for all your questions too. We asked for the Qs so that we can give you guys some A's with our Q&A that's coming up, and you guys have been pouring them in. A lot of great questions. We're putting them together. We're scraping the cream of the crop. We're going to give you guys that Q&A coming up real soon. So keep your peepers peeled. Keep them peepers peeled.
This peepers popping.
Okay, but because this is, we've got a lot going on in the Stumpt universe in preparation for our 1 year anniversary. We are going to keep this podcast a little short. We are pushing up on the half-hour mark right now. So we're not going to do a Adventure Corner this week. We did an abbreviated
Marvel Minute. That was even
minutes.
less than a minute. I'm shocked. Oh my god.
Yep. And so I'm going to say that let's wrap up this podcast for this week. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a full-length podcast.
Indeed,
we'll be back to our old selves. But in the meantime, go ahead and take in some of our fancy new 1 year content to tide you over.
Woohoo!
Did you say we also had a bunch of new reviews on iTunes?
Oh
yeah, we did. Actually, here, let me pull open the latest. Oh, by the way, dear podcast listeners, we are experimenting with something a little different this week. Typically, when we record, we all record, on Saturdays in the same spot, but we're experimenting with recording online. So we're using Mumble to record ourselves. So if it sounds a little bit different, it's because things are. But
let us know. Let us know what you think about it. Like, is the quality like, oh my God, I can't handle it, you guys, you sound awful? Or if you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever, why would you do it the other way? Let us know.
Exactly. Or are you curious who that person typing and zipping up their bags in the background is? Don't worry. That's not someone murdering Rick right behind him.
No, that's
Bryce
trying to double task, and it's not working very well.
Double task. Double good. Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. We've got Azurega on iTunes. Azurega. Azurega. Is that how you would say that?
I think so.
Azurega. Yeah. On January 20th said Stumpt was my best discovery in 2014. How do you like that, guys?
Wow.
These four gamers have great personalities and really fun synergy that just makes them great to listen to and laugh along with. Best part is you can really tell they're super passionate about what they're talking about, get really into it, and just make really funny and interesting shows. These go by all too quickly, which is saying something because sometimes they go on for like 2 hours. They talk Marvel news, play a bit of adventure story role-playing, and of course talk about games. If you're looking for a new gamer channel, then please subscribe ASAP. #BlueWins. There you go, Jasmine. Shout out.
And I'll just give a quick shout out to Azurega. Everyone go check out the Stumpt subreddit because Azurega made some pretty dang impressive fan art for us the other day.
Yeah, he did. That's right. Azurega's fan art. I'll post it on the recap because Azurega's was beautiful. It was mind-blowing.
It was
mind-blowing.
Lava Steve, and it's just got a bunch of details. So we love all of our fan art. And I'm currently in the works of making a big old corkboard collage of it all. So seriously, if you have any motivation to draw something silly for us, do it.
Yeah, no matter how simple or how complex, we love them all. And we're getting so much fan art. I am so flattered. We all are so flattered. So humbled by all of the stuff that you guys have been doing for us, honestly. And it's weird reading a review like this. Every time I read a review, I'm like, it sounds like we wrote this. It sounds like we're trying to flatter ourselves. But honestly, it's super flattering when you guys go out of your way to say such nice things and do such nice things. We love all of you. On this Valentine's Day in particular, you are all loved.
Yes, you're all our Valentines.
Aww.
Yeah, that's right. Be my Valentine, everybody.
How sweet.
All right. So yeah,
all right, so
a lot of sweet new reviews, and really, guys, keep submitting. It really helps us out on iTunes.
It sure does. Honestly, it really does. It goes a long way towards making the algorithms do their thing, where we're on the top of the search results, and more people will listen to Stumpcast, and then we'll make more and more, and it'll be the circle of life, like in that movie, The Lion King.
Oh,
just like that.
Just like The Lion King, guys.
Yep.
With
Rafiki
less
will
fathers
show us
dying.
the way.
That's right.
More Rafiki, less dying lions. All right, so unless anybody's got anything else to add, I'm gonna say that this has been Stumpcast. Right. Pancake wins, of course. Well, I don't know.
No.
Price brought up something crazy the concept of a waffle pancake sandwich. I don't know, you guys. If this maybe is like the Treaty of Versailles, I don't know. That's gonna end this war.
That's right.
Maybe there are waffle pancake sandwiches in our future. We'll see.
We'll see.
In the meantime, though, keep hashtagging Team Waffles.
Team Pancake.
Oh my gosh, Ash. Always starting stuff. Always starting
And come back next time when we'll give you guys another great episode of Stumpcast.
Bye.
Catch y'all later. Bye.